I'm going to do the welcome.
All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Week 15. We're at the end now. Had a good term this term. I felt teams were mostly on it. A few little hiccups here and there, but ultimately, actually, I'm really excited by the projects that came out this semester. We'll go kind of through usual housekeeping like we do normally on Friday mornings, because this is still our final milestone. As obviously as the folks who are in the projects know, and maybe some of you don't know though, who are joining us, we do these in 3-week sprints. So this is our fifth one here at the end now. And first of all, I want to just kind of go through some of the things that have been happening here lately. We've got this evening, after all of this, after we do the pitches and such, we've got the celebration tonight from 5 to 7. So join us for that. You'll see the pitches of the games again that were made, and invite anybody who was not part of UAT to come in and check those out. That'll be from 5 to 7, probably last about an hour, the initial first part, and then kind of either an hour to 45 minutes of networking at the end. I do have somebody coming from the Microsoft store at that time, so she's going to come. She's kind of the communications communications community person. So she's going to talk about, they've got for this National Small Business Week next week, they actually have some workshops going on there on kind of using LinkedIn and how to look for jobs through that and how to kind of present yourself on there. And they're actually also giving free kind of headshots, taking pictures there at the store. So if you want to have a better professional looking headshot on your LinkedIn profile, that would be an awesome place to do that. So she'll come in, and who knows, there might be, I actually didn't ask her, there might be job opportunities there too, so if some of you are actually looking for jobs. In the meantime, while you're working on projects or at school, that could be a cool place to do that too.
There's actually a brand new job opportunity there for a gaming expert.
There we go.
See me for more info.
Are you going to be here tonight too?
Yeah, I'll be here tonight.
Okay, so it's Alma, I think is her name. And she,
different.
are you talking to the Chandler store or the
Yes.
Scottsdale?
Yeah, both.
Okay, this is the Scottsdale, so.
Yeah, the opportunities at both stores.
Awesome. So there we go. So yeah, that'll be a good way to meet with her also face to face for you guys. Another thing that's kind of come up, I met a guy at GDC who works at Indiegogo. His name's Nate, and I've been talking to him about doing some more stuff there. And he basically sent me this, which is all of their material on how to set up an awesome Indiegogo campaign. So if anybody's in that process where they want to get their game to the next stage and put it out there and look for kind of crowdfunding, even if you're not, there's some really cool things like, again, 4 steps to email outreach success, things to do before launching your campaign, how to build your campaign. Also, we had maintaining your campaign momentum. Also, perfecting your perk strategy. So if you've ever been on any of these sites, you know that as you go along, as time progresses, there are perks that open up or different levels that you want to offer people. So actually some really cool material. If anybody's interested in that kind of stuff, let me know. I'm happy to just pass these PDFs on to you. Super interesting conversation because it kind of went around the idea that he wants to bring all of that crowdfunding back to how it used to be when crowdfunding first came out. If anybody remembers those times when Kickstarter and Indiegogo were new, it was all kind of like, as he puts it, putting your dreams online and having people buy into that. Where now there's a lot more other reasons that you might use crowdfunding, like market validation and stuff like that. So interesting conversation with them, and if you guys want to have any of that stuff, let me know. There's also, and I put this up, let's see, on our Facebook page. Let's see where now everything's of course going to be all over the place. There we go. So there's a new engine out actually. If anybody wanted to check that out, I'd be curious to know what you think. It says it's VR ready and so on and yada yada. I mean, it looks pretty nice. Have a look at that, and if anybody wants, so basically they're giving the pro version for free for the first couple months now. Personal version is always free, and then they have a kind of it seems like they have the old kind of monetization strategy of charging per month versus just free until you start actually making money off of their engine. So anyways, if anybody's going to take a look at that, let me know. I've talked to them about trying to get educational licenses as well, but they basically just said, just get the personal one now and see what you think about it, and then if we want to continue forward on that, you can do that. So, anyways. I'm not sure, Zenko, maybe, Senko, Shenko. Again, all of this stuff we're going to be streaming here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to get any of what we do now this morning or this afternoon, you can grab that off of our YouTube page and show people. Again, big part of wanting to make your portfolios awesome and show the actual collaboration work that you've done. And as you probably have figured out when you're talking about your games or showing people about your games online, the best thing that you can have are videos to kind of actually show gameplay and to show collaboration as it's happening. So make sure, again, don't forget that we have that resource. And then I have a new trailer for you guys for the Game Jam the movie, which I know some of you are in. So I'm going to play that now. One caveat is that the sound isn't quite fully edited yet on here, so he just...
Turn it down.
No!
Okay. For Ian's presentation because it's quiet.
You don't want to hear, like, bass in your face?
I'm pretty sure we'll have hearing.
Anyway, so the sound is kind of like up and down on it, but I've got a new version of the sound, so I'll probably get a new version of this trailer later today. I just figured I'd send it to you guys now, or show it to you guys now, though.
I'll have this. We should be good.
Okay.
Because it's usually at like negative 50 decibels.
Better have quick fingers. Okay.
All right, folks, you got 10 minutes. 10 minutes before you have to submit. So at 3 o'clock, you got to submit your executable.
This is the first time that I've been able to offer an award like this for a jam, flying the winning team up to 6 people out to LA, bring them to Indiecade.
This is the first one that we're doing that there's like a lot at stake here. So we're really psyched for it.
I'm an entrepreneur at my core, and a hacker and a developer. I really feel like I'm hanging with my peers.
We are looking for people who are making things that we don't always see. Games and experiences that are maybe for people who aren't always or already playing games.
They get like 5 to 10 minutes and you've got to sell Oculus on your games.
We had a 5-minute interview with Sony. We got in there, we demoed the game.
My favorite aspect of the gaming industry to cover is independent gaming. And this is exactly what's going on right now. And the independent development is really, I think, the heart of the industry. These are the people that are going to be making huge experiences in the future.
What it's all about are those moments in between when people are connecting and meeting and being together.
I'm excited not just for what they'll do here this 48 hours, but after that, and the friendships that they create.
There we got round 2, ready? So yeah, super excited for that. That should be hopefully done before Comic-Con. So we'll do a big kind of premiere screening during the video game showcase at some point, probably on the 25th of May. That's what I'm hoping, in the evening at that time. I did get a chance to show this to the film commissioner now on Wednesday, where we had our Arizona Tech Council Video Game Industry Committee, which I co-chair. So, the government knows, the governor's office knows about this, and that we're doing this, and that basically, again, galvanizing the industry here locally, and trying to push a lot of it to UAT. I want to make sure that the highlight comes to us. So, as you guys keep increasingly working on games, there will be much more visibility of what we're doing here and what you're doing. So, that's what that's all about. The next Game Jam probably will be in September again, but we'll see. If anybody wants to organize one before then, are you doing a class again with the Game Jam? Okay. If anybody wants to do one before that, let me know or talk to me. But September will come pretty quickly. Let's see what else. Again, esports. If anybody's interested in esports, we've started the Arizona Esports Industry Committee or group now. Again, the governor's office is involved in that. So if you guys want to be part of that, let me know. I know some folks have already kind of expressed a little bit of interest, but then maybe didn't follow up with me with an email or something. So make sure you do that so I get you on the list. We've started a Slack channel, and we'll be meeting kind of once a month to talk about that. I think that's. Oh yeah, and tonight, sorry, one last thing. After our celebration here, if you guys know Timefire VR, they're the guys working on Hypatia, the VR kind of experience world game thing. They've got a big launch for their alpha down at their offices in Scottsdale. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, just to see it, or B, to see if they have any job openings, or at least start rubbing elbows with them. I think that'd be a good opportunity. I think it goes from 7 until 10 this evening. So when we get done, if you get, there'll be plenty of time to head down there and check it out. I'll see how I feel at that point. As you can tell, I'm obviously not feeling very well. But if I get there, I'll obviously help with introductions or whatever I can do when we're there. So that being said, the studio, as always, what we want to do is foster independent game developers on your own, so that you either fit well in a culture when you go out to work at a big studio or start your own thing up. And so all these projects that we're doing in here are meant to help create that camaraderie and understanding and teamwork and know how to produce these awesome games. So we always do a green light at the end of every term to kind of figure out who has a project that they're interested in putting into the next upcoming course, so that we can then put resources and other students behind what they want to work on, and hopefully build it up into an awesome project. Which again, we've got a bunch from this term that have done really well, I think, and have been around for a couple of semesters already. So this morning, Lynn, if you want to kick off with the.
We also have 2 other guests here to talk about available jobs and internships. So please welcome Ashley and Derek. Come on up.
So I'm just here as a reminder that you guys should always be working on a project. Hiring managers like to see that congruency on your resume because it shows commitment to your craft and the industry. I've got a lot of indie studios who are looking for help right now, and if you haven't started on your post-graduation job search, you need to do that, even if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior. So I'm really good at helping people develop plans. 14,000 people applied to Blizzard's summer internship program, and they only hired 100. So it's super competitive. So I just wanted to plug career services and let you all know I'm here to help. So come see me in the portal.
Ben is sick. So you gave me this?
No, I got this like yesterday.
That seems about right.
When I was driving in the van for 5 hours.
Yeah, that's probably it. Well, welcome everybody. Yeah, I, like many others, am not feeling the best, but glad to have you guys here. We've been doing this now for many, many years. It was a dream we had, 6 or 7 years ago. And, the purpose of everything that we do here is to produce, right? Gaming is very, very competitive. And this idea of I've got an idea really doesn't do you a whole lot of good anymore. And so we wanted to bring in implementation. We wanted to say, you know what? We want to realize these ideas. We want to realize that. It's really interesting in that over the years, the barrier to even get into the production process now has gone up. The stuff that we used to accept and be like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so glad we're doing this project. Probably wouldn't even get selected these days. Mostly because now we require so much more prototypes and different things like that. So I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm glad and proud of the team and what we do with this. Whether it's the Scrum part, whether it's the production studio part or whatever, it really does start to put you down the path of what it's going to be like to actually work in the game industry. And that's the whole purpose of what we do. So the courses are great, but it all comes down to producing and building and implementing and having stuff. There are often, I'm sure, times some of you have been through the process that we do stuff and you're like, well, I hate that. Usually attached to Ben. But we do it for a reason, and we would rather have you be mad at us and get a great job than love us and not get a job. So, so that's kind of part of it. Our pitch is next. All right, I'm going to cheat. As always, I tend to have access to projects that may or may not end up in the studio. I'm going to drop just a little seed here in one I'm working on that will not be a studio project, so you don't have to sign up for it. But I'm putting an SPT class on the schedule over the summer. I've already sent email to a few people, but if you're interested in this project, come and see me and we can talk about it. The brief version of it is over the summer, here relatively soon. USA Today and the Arizona Republic have contracted with a company to fly helicopters up and down the entire U.S.-Mexico border and capture LiDAR terrain data of the entire thing. They're going to give us that data, and then we are going to figure out the projects that we want to do for their news stories that are going to run this fall. So we haven't really honed in on everything we want to do, but we're talking about doing some phone-based VR. You know, you can just kind of go to a spot and look around. We're talking about doing some interactive Vive and Oculus type work. We're talking about doing some video work. We're talking about doing some on the PC or on the web. You know, you'd be able to watch this story and say, hey, go check out this, or different things like that. Everything from just visualization to actually go into a location and interacting or having something to do. So if you're interested in something like that, again, good portfolio piece. Also something that's going to get probably a lot of attention given the political climate of our country right now. So come and see me, and I can fill you in. We're keeping the team relatively small, but we can definitely have a conversation. Right now I don't have any artists, so if there's any artists that are interested, I'm definitely looking for artists. I've got some programmers and some designers already kind of in the process. So that's the latest one that I'm working on that's kind of an external partnership type of thing. All right, I guess I get the pleasure of handing it to the first team. Is that what we're going to, Lynn?
Starting with Kyle.
All right. Time to start tweeting.
My name's Kyle Tama, and I'm the project lead for Foodmeister. Over the course of the semester, we took the prototype from a very basic Android, kind of really rough prototype to, and in fact, this is our first registration system, which was really bad because it went through 4 different slides, and it was really clunky, and you had to, like I said, go through 4 different slides, and it could fail at any time, and it was just really bad. And so we actually converted it into this one, which is a much more, clean, to the point. You see everything. You go through one system, and you put all your information in, and then you're ready to go right after that. You don't have to keep, you just go through a whole bunch of different systems. So we currently have Google Sign-In set up. So you log in with your Google account. Everyone has one. I don't even know one person that doesn't have one. And once you log in, it pulls down as much information as it can, as much information as Google allows us to pull down about you. So pretty much it's just your email and your name, but at least we don't make them put in that information. Then they put in their their gender and birth date. This is just for data purposes to see how people are using the app, where the demographic that's using it. And that's the reason why we have that in there. And then you put in your initial allergy. And anytime you can change this later if you wanted to. It's just simply for us to begin the search process in the next step. And this goes to the map, which it acquires your geolocation, which we have to request. And then it takes the profile information you just put in. It performs a real-time search based on your location and in a 10-mile radius, and pulls back any restaurants that it finds. It then takes that restaurant data, it searches through it, and it takes out anything that doesn't fit your profile. So, for example, if I have a peanut allergy, anything on this map will only have a peanut-free menu. So it won't. So then, as soon as I click on one of these points, yeah, that's a restaurant that has a peanut fruit menu. You can have 4 profiles, up to 4 profiles. You can add, delete, or modify them at any time. And enable disable means that if you don't want a profile taken into account when doing a map search, you can just disable it, and it'll just be ignored by the map search functionality. Here's just a small YouTube demo of the app portion. That's just a bigger view of the profile, just seeing that how the allergies are highlighted that you selected. And then here's the map performing the search. Then I can click on point. Say that, oh, there's a restaurant that matches my profile. I'm gonna go there. And in the future, what I want to do is do user comments, so that if they went to a restaurant, they can then say, oh, I visited this restaurant, I liked it, I didn't like it, and maybe give it a rating, a star rating or something. And then if they did like it, I want to allow them to favorite it, and then have like a list that maybe they only want to show the restaurants they favorited, and then it'll only place the favorite locations on the map or whatever. And then also allow a user to add a location, so if they go out, say the Thai place across the street isn't on the map, but they know that it matches their profile, and then they can put it on. They can tell us that, oh, this location isn't on there, but it matches my profile, so then we can then go in and say, yep, that matches, and then allow the users to grow the database as well as us, so that it grows faster than what we could do. Here's our social media information if you want to check us out. Thank you.
Okay, so I said I'd do a live portion of this, or a portion of it, and then let the video take over. So this is it. Enjoy it while it lasts. And
I'm going. You just keep going.
okay, well, I mean, and then it begins.
Because I wanted to support the formation of the genre.
One in 108.
I've also had a love for survival games like Ark, Survival Evolved, Minecraft, where the player uses his wit and understanding of cleaning camps to survive in its harsh environments. But sometime after, a game called Hero of the Storms came out and challenged the noble art. I, being interested in the genre and Blizzard Entertainment in itself, thought I'd give it a try. During the intro missions while playing as Gym Raider, you need to overcome a few lessons to learn the game mechanics. But when that's done, you're teleported to a Nexus and told that you will continue to do battle across the cosmos indefinitely. And Jim asks a very important question, in my opinion. Why? Why are we doing all this? And the NPC in charge of their answers by saying, you really shouldn't think too hard about these kinds of things. And that sparked my plan for Untitled. How do you make a MOBA genre game that has a point, where the heroes can be swapped between teams, and it not feel weird to have a character like Gym Raider on the same team as Diablo fighting without trying to kill each other? Where there isn't some random vendor offering to sell you items with money that you collected from endlessly spawning minions, and defensive structures that offer no real purpose other than being there to challenge you in that field. So I began designing the Island Survivor project. Island Survivor is a MOBA where teams of players fight against one another to the last team remaining on the move. To maintain my vision, the map would have to be an island that is uninhabited, territory that is unanimously agreed upon by the warring tribes to send their warriors to fight for the glory of the volcano. The tribes would send their best and brightest to the island with the understanding that they will have to fight the other tribes' warriors to the death. This means the pool of heroes the players have to choose from will be the same
regardless of the tribe or team they are part of. It would not have a specific or unique names. This means the player will have access to characters like the crafter or the hunter, taking away the individuality of the characters, allowing the player to superimpose themselves on top of the character they're playing. They will also be able to craft items, equipment, and buildings to aid in being the best team while managing personal resources like hunger and health to stay alive. Once a single team remains on the island, the volcano god blesses the tribe they represent, and they get to go home as heroes. Island Survivor is being developed for the PC and the Unreal 4 engine targeting teams and builds. So this semester's goal was for the player to have access to abilities from their equipment, similar to how Beaver here activates his event Horizon ability. The only difference is the player will have direct access to what abilities make up the kit, instead of the hero coming with a pre-built set of abilities. And overall combat. Getting the front-end functionality was great. It opened up a new slew of challenges for the client server-based programming, but the project needs player interaction, and combat is the answer. So this semester I've had a pretty big roster for help, both on campus, online, and graduates coming back to me at the end. The art team has made lots of progress on the aesthetics of the island, character models, and some equipment. Design team worked on the abilities, what they do, and how the player gets access to them. Combat systems, we have an idea of how combat would go down based on our abilities, and a recipe list for crafting said items and equipment, while the programmers focused on the combat build system. Here is a quick clip showing the front end. As you can see, after the game has been launched, the player can either host or join. Either way, they'll end up in the lobby level. From the lobby level, the player can choose his desired character and team that he wants to play as in the game. And once everyone is ready to start, the host launches the game, moving everyone in the lobby to the island level where the game will officially start. This is the current in-game field of view. As you can see, the artists have done a great job modeling out the character, equipment, and fleshing out the island, so that while some detail is lost, the silhouette still sells what's going on. Our programmers have a few abilities working, and player interaction through auto tactics is visible. And like I said earlier, the designers have been hard at work with items like the apple that alter players' personal resources like health and stamina, and implementing the items and equipment while fleshing out some of the combat systems, giving the classes and items statistics like attack and armor values. It has been an interesting semester to say the least, and I am happy with the work that everyone has done over the past 5 sprints. I've had a pretty chill team, and I appreciate the work everyone has done for this project. I really do. But I'll not be carrying the Island Survivor project into the next semester's production students class. That being said, I will still be developing Island Survivor, so if you're interested in the project or wish to continue working on the project, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the Concert Clicker. Come on down.
Hello everyone, I'm Ivan Gralba, project lead and owner for Console Clicker. So here's a video of basically where we started off prior to the semester and pretty much the general direction that we were. And in the beginning it was really programmer art heavy. But then we started implementing some more robust items, making it look a little bit more prettier. And even in the beginning, our system to really calibrate the time between getting the currency and just even the upgrades themselves weren't as robust as we have now. And this includes the dialogue system. Back then it was very linear on how you could actually progress through a narrative. It didn't allow for many chances to branch out and to really see more of an aspect of NPC than you could previously. All right, for this semester, we actually ended up creating over 30 buildings from their base and even upgraded values. And you could actually see an example of the process that our artists actually went through, from concept art. And then below those, it's basically the end result. And if you look at the far left to you guys, you can see an untextured piece of artwork that eventually becomes an amazing looking piece. We also have 10 different variants of the 2D character art, which you'll see later on, just one of them. We also ended up getting not only female, as you can see from the GIF, that are fully modeled, rigged, and animated. We also have a male version of this, along with 10 different textures per model, including up to 20. A lot of the work was, the hardest work was for, that and design and programming due to the dialogue system, since we wanted to really emphasize on the branching dialogue, and it's, there was a lot of work that went into it in the back end that you don't really necessarily see just in the game itself. We ended up working a new dialogue system and using scriptable objects. You can, a scriptable object in mono behavior, you can see the Jack 4.10. Basically, it holds the dialogue along with three other keys that hold values that we're looking for whenever we're calling to see what actually the user really went for, that queues up different dialogue systems. Another system that we worked on was a plane system for the actual field to allow the user to create their buildings. So that was reworked from the sphere that you saw in the beginning in the video. The upgrade system was also worked on to actually upgrade your building from base to the next tier. The design team did a lot of storyboarding for the dialogue of sequences for the game. They worked a lot on actually importing the models and setting up the prefabs with the scripts, basically allowing them to, again, put in the values that they want and basically let the story to be told. They also had the final concepts for the actual villagers that we would end up creating in 2D, as an example, the villagers. All right, so now to show off what we have. The app that we created was meant for mobile, so getting it on PC is a little bit weird now. You'll see some issues like this, but let's see. As we see, we actually have our characters popping up. We interweave new characters as the story progresses, and this story is actually just focusing on one character, the one that I'm showing you. And we currently have 16 characters developed. And as you saw, dialogue just doesn't pop up whenever you create a new building. It has to be specific buildings that add to it in the back end stat managers. And this character is happy that we upgraded the townhouse to an upgrade that basically goes along with a specific good stat. So now that he's having a kid, he's happy that he's able to move into a bigger location thanks to the fact that we actually built a townhouse which has larger venues. Pretty much with 36 overall basic tier 1 buildings, and along with 13 individual characters that we have, this one storyline has about six to seven different paths depending on where you go. So every other different building that we can bring in to influence it increases the story dramatically. For one character, if we did every single type of building, we would essentially get over 100 storylines just for the basic tier 1, and we would like to expand that to at least tier 2 or tier 3, but that's a little bit further in once we get more art assets. Thank you for your time.
All right, Morpheus, come on down. Another round of applause for Kyle and Ivan and Ian. These teams will not be returning to the studio, but we want to give you some kudos for a job well done. Now the teams going forward are pitching for green light. So the first on deck is Morpheus. Thank you.
All right. I'm Roger Shulligan. I am team lead for Morpheus. This is Todd Dickinson. He is my helper. He has supported me throughout this entire process, as well as my amazing team.
Can you freeze that?
Oh, is it not frozen?
No.
Oh. There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
We're going to pull up our presentation. We didn't have time to get that up. But yeah. So Morpheus is a third-person adventure game with an emphasis on discovery, exploration, and shape-shifting. You are a lost spirit. You are a lost spirit in a really bizarre, surreal world where things are like falling apart, and you're just kind of figuring out how to piece everything together. You're confused, and you're just exploring to try to find what's going on. So yeah, and as you're journeying, you will come across memory fragments that are kind of associated with the environment and the world. So these memories will kind of show you what's going on. The trick here is we're not using any dialogue or any voiceover. We're just letting the player interpret it as they will. Like I said, this game is about shape-shifting. So in this game, you will come across various creatures that you can capture, either through violent means or through helping them through a puzzle of some sort. Once you capture them, you're able to shape-shift into this creature and use its abilities to progress. So you'll come across different puzzles that require you to use these forms, maybe together or separately, to get to your destination. And this destination usually results in some kind of memory of being exposed, so you get kind of more backstory on what's going on. And like I said, this game's about discovery, so you will be learning what this world really is. We were going for a really stylized look. We love our blues. We love our bright contrasting colors. As you can see here, we got this runic sword. Throughout the world, you will see this kind of architecture on the structures and buildings, as well as like in the earth. The hero over here, you see he has like a shattered version of that sword. As you're exploring this world, you're going to find pieces of this sword and repair it, just like you are with your memories and the world. Everything's coming together. That's the whole concept of Morpheus. We need about 2 to 3 designers. I need puzzle designers, people who want to paper map these out and white box them in Unity. If you never used Unity, we're going to provide supplemental videos to kind of show you how to use our components and how to white box effectively. And if you know how to set design, that's wonderful too. We have roughly like 1,000 placeholder models that we bought on the asset store that we're using. So you can have fun and play with that. And we want to really build the world this semester, so we want to have environments and places you can go to and piece back together. We also need artists. I say 3 to 4. We want to work on environmental models and like trees, structures, things of that nature. We also want to start texturing our world, because right now we're using a lot of flat colors. If you see the sword over here, it has that stylized look that I'm going for. So yeah, that's what we need in terms of artists. For programmers, I say 1 to 2, maybe just 1. The only thing we can really offer you is a valuable learning experience. Todd and I, we use quite a bit of event-driven code. We don't use any game managers. We like to connect things and decouple things so that we can easily connect objects like doors and pressure plates. We don't hard code anything into it. We were able to use the inspector to say, okay, this pressure plate opens this door. And so I can kind of show you how to use that. We use coroutines and things of those natures, of that nature. So yeah, we're going to show off our build. So you can see right here we have our spirit. He has his sword in hand, ready to explore. You just saw right there, Todd opened up the shape-shifting wheel. This will allow you to transform into various creatures. So go ahead and show them one of them. Here's our cockatrice. This guy has the ability to turn things to stone. So this is very useful in puzzles that require weight or stopping things. Next one. Magball, he can pick up and manipulate metal objects. So this is great for inserting things into walls or pulling things out of the way. The skeleton, his ability is range, so he has a bow and arrow, and we use that to kind of target buttons that are out of reach and activate things. The slime, his ability is to split, and kind of you can use this kind of like a four-sword adventure type deal where you have to activate multiple points, like maybe 4 pressure plates as a simple example. The wolf's ability is scent. We're going to show him off in this build, so I'll get into that in a bit. And our mouse, he can get through small passageways, and we decided to make him unique and make him a candle mouse, so he has the power to take away light and produce light. And this is our newest form. We haven't done much with him, but he's the electric bug. He will be able to target pylons and manipulate electricity. And so yeah, go back to the hero. So we wanted to, go ahead, Sprint. We wanted to show off what we want to do with our world. So up here is kind of an example of some set design and a puzzle using these forms. So we have platforming elements in this game, so you will be platforming and exploring different heights of levels. So we want, when you're designing levels, we want people to make sure that they're thinking about different layers, not just flat. Because if we were going flat, we might as well make a 2D game. So as you saw here, he used Candle Mouse to kind of activate that flower, which turned on things here. So that's how the Candle Mouse can be used. I'll go ahead and teleport to another area. So we just completed that area. So here's the garden. This is where the wolf is going to be used. So his power is scent. So go ahead and go up to one of the flowers and show them how that works. You can can see that flower is stone. It doesn't really have a color, but the wolf can reveal that color by using his ability. One thing we're not showing off here is the wolf can generate scent trails, so you can see these particle trails throughout the world that can lead you to interesting locations, targets, or objectives. The hero, he can pick objects up with his other hand, so he's going to carry that over to the objective and try to find all the flowers to open the gate. Yep, that one was red. And to kind of show, like, we don't want any pop-up or text. We don't want to explain things to the player. Go to the other side and show them this. This kind of shows you the completed form. So this side has power. That blue line on the top right there is powered up. The other side is actually grayed out. So we want to think like that. This next area is showing off more of the candle mouse. He has the ability to manipulate light as well as go through passageways. So here we're going to show how this thing shifts. And a little glitchy, but not that one. And so what it's doing is it's shifting those tiles and allowing the passageway to open up. So it's just another way of manipulating the world with these abilities. We don't want it to be just one layer thing. We want them to kind of, change the entire world. And you can see there's a passageway through there. Go ahead, teleport. This next area, we're going to kind of give a little demonstration of the skeleton. We want to work on getting a third-person thing going with him. We had some trouble getting it to line up with the reticle because we have a lot of height changing. So that's something we want to work on next semester, get some of these controls really polished out, because you can see it's a pain and the arrow just doesn't want to behave. I fixed that yesterday.
It was broken today.
Okay, well, it's broken today. So yeah, that's kind of a little demonstration of what we want to do with our forms and what we want to do with the world. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation and are interested in Morpheus.
Welcome, Reign in Rebellion. Thank you, Morpheus.
So while Bart gets the video ready, I'm his Vanna White. If you guys don't know me, my name's Doug. Lynn calls me the industry expert. I still can't get used to that. I appreciate it. I was in the industry for about 15 years. I worked at Electronic Arts. Worked at a little company over here called Cheyenne Mountain that created a game, well, tried to create a game called Stargate Worlds. Some things imploded spectacularly. And then we created Stargate Resistance, and so then after that I kind of bounced around to different startups and whatnot, trying to get other things going. And then the wife said, enough is enough, go get a real job. And so I did. Got into education, and then Hugh, who worked with me at Cheyenne, came and said, hey, I got this great idea. You guys got any game ideas that you want to pitch? And I said, I don't know. I think so. And so when we came in, we were thinking, man, this is just going to be a prototype. Mm-hmm. Didn't expect anything really of it. And this is what the guys gave us. Some of this I saw for the first time last night, and I'm going to let Bart take over.
Yeah.
And let him do his thing.
So hi, I'm Bart Driscoll. I'm the project owner, project lead, team lead, whatever you want to call me, of Reign in Rebellion. And as Doug was saying, where we started was just two industry veterans interested in coming, checking out the school, and having a couple ideas to pitch to us. And what they came with was the idea for Reign in Rebellion, just written out on a very loose GDD. And what they expected from us working over the semester was just a simple prototype to show us some simple features and the basic game idea. And being UAT students and wanting to show the best of what we could do, we wanted to make this game into a beautiful reality. So how we did that was injecting our own knowledge of modern games into their basic idea, and adding our own ambition, working towards new features that would make the game better and more modern, as well as applying our own style to it.
Are you calling me old?
No,
Okay.
just a veteran.
Just checking. I felt like old. Kid. Okay.
So, what the game's main concept is a online multiplayer third-person action encompassing both ranged and melee combat. The game will be fought with different teams fighting each other, and each team will have its various classes that have its own abilities, and it will have its own range of maps that will all encompass different kinds of play modes. So the style that we wanted to go for the game is more of a realistic, fantasy, medieval, also steampunk kind of style with different kinds of maps. We'll also have those styles encompassed with the teams and their weaponry. So let's show off these teams and the game. So yeah, this is our level that we spent the 15 weeks working on, making the different set pieces, models, modular buildings, outside pieces, as well as all custom textures done in Substance Designer.
So the last time that I actually saw this build, everything was very dark, everything was very unfinished, there was a lot of white boxing left, so I'm like, yeah, this looks great. So this is what they showed me last night, and I had stopped, and I was like, are you guys for real? Like, I did not expect that at all. So hats off to them for the work that they put in the last few weeks, getting it to this level.
Thank you. And as you load up the game, or as the game's loading, it shows you the controls, and it dumps you into the game as you select your teams and the classes as is just shown. So here are the different classes. We have the Assassino, who has some kind of sneaking abilities and backstab abilities. Our Vitracio, who is a kind of wizard kind of character who has a staff, can defend themselves, steal life from enemies, heal their team members, and also shoot fireballs out of their staff. The Bruto, who is more of a magical warrior kind of class, who has a magical mace and a magical shield. The mace can throw energy balls, while the shield, while defending, can reflect damage back on its enemies. And here we have the other team, the more steampunk team. The Quera, who is a more ranged character who has a pump action kind of clockwork crossbow, as well as a proximity bomb and a more focused shot where it does more damage and takes time to actually fire. We have the Ferno, who is more of a support character for the team, whilst being able to attack is not their main focus. It's more to support the team with their different devices like the medical kit or the electric trap. And then finally we have the Bolda, who is the Steampunk's team kind of frontline warrior, who has an extendable kind of shield to be the point man for the team, as well as his sword, concussion bombs to kind of disorient the team, and that is what we have so far of the game. So, some of the challenges that we ran into as the first semester for this game, of course, working with Scrum, figuring out how we want to encompass that into how our team wants to work, learning our new roles and skills for the people new coming in, as well as different kinds of advice we get from our veterans. Certain team dynamics, working together, learning everyone's skills, game-breaking bugs, every team runs into that, terrible. And also implementing new features, coming up with them, trying to work them together. And so for the future, going into the next semester, We want to start cranking out more maps, more game modes for the maps, actual custom character models for the different classes we have and the teams. We want to focus more on building out the world and the lore of why these teams are fighting and where they're fighting, as also refining the work we've done so far. So moving forward, what do we need from the UAT Game Studios? We definitely want more artists, both online and on ground, to work on characters, concepts, props, textures, just about anything. We also want UI artists and designers to start cranking out more custom UI for the different classes and teams, as well as just general game UI. We want more gameplay designers to figure out how the different game modes will work. And we want a database programmer to start helping us work on profiles and sort of like out-of-game motivation for the characters to keep playing. And that is what we got done so far this semester. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Donald Shepis. I am the project lead for Calculord. In brief, Calculord was brought to us by Mark Ragno, a client who wanted to build an educational platform that could take gameplay from games like World of Warcraft and various MMOs like that, where you do a lot of kind of repetitive, boring tasks for in-game rewards, and merge that with learning a math curriculum. And so the core of Calculord is the visualization of progress. Learning math is a very abstract thing when you're in school. You don't have a progress bar that tells you how close you are to mastering what you need for the semester. And we wanted to give the students something like that. So not only are they constantly having feedback on the progress that they're making on the subjects they're learning as well as the overall year, but they're able to, with the points that they get from the quizzes, buy gear. And the bigger their character looks and the cooler and the more effects they have going on, they know that they're doing better in the class and that they're learning more. And it gives them something to actually visualize and connect to. We also want to guide their practice and their pace. So a lot of students are going to have very different expectations of what they themselves think they can do in a single year. And we want to support them and not only allow them to work at their own pace, so that if they're blowing through addition and are doing that fine, they can get all of that done well before any of their peers, then move on to something that they struggle with more, like perhaps division. And we also want to guide their practice, so that way it's not just throwing practice at them day after day after day that might not actually help them. We want to make sure that everything we're presenting to the player is something that's going to help them understand the content more. Also, students don't exist in a vacuum. We put a lot of focus on the individual, but they have a class, they have a school, they have peers everywhere, and so we want to include group goals, where you're not just doing math and trying to get high grade and trying to get as much practice done as possible just for yourself, but so that way your peers can unlock larger goals for everybody, get rewards in the class, and even have a little bit of competition with not only their peers at their class level, but at their school level and an inter-school level. Also, the most important thing when these students are learning math is their instructor feedback. Their instructors are always going to be able to adapt and identify their needs better than we ever can. And so we want to give them a tool that allows them to change whatever they need in Calculord. Is a student struggling with addition? Well, let's give them some more addition work and take out some of the subtraction work. So that way they can focus on what they need to be successful. And we also want to make the process of them reporting to state agencies and sending out progress reports easier. And so we build tools into our teacher-side platform that allows them to do this. And that's the ultimate vision of Calculord. We want to supplement teachers. We want to give them more tools that they have so that they can better address the needs of their students. We assist them in reporting. We assist them in personalizing each lesson plan to their students. We're replacing boring homework that students aren't going to do because they don't want to waste their time doing a worksheet, and instead are engaged with the game-like content that makes them actually want to do their homework. And we want to continually engage them at home, because a lot of the learning that they're doing isn't just in school, but also when they're at home. And more students are having smartphones and playing on the computer. And if they're playing Calculord and doing something that's actually helping educate them at home, then they're getting a lot more practice time throughout the year. So this is the final build that we had from this semester. We're building for a mobile display, so it's going to look a little stretched out on the large projector screen here. But we've got pretty much our full gameplay loop functioning. Players are able to go in and register, create a character, and once they've created their character, they're able to go in and do practice quizzes to start earning points and purchasing items. So here you see we've got a place for them to look at their character. You're able to go into the quizzes, and we actually have all the stats for the armors and equipment items functioning. So sometimes when you get a wrong answer, because you've got good armor, you're able to ignore that penalty. As I'm going to show here, as you go through, you'll actually have effects that pop and give you additional time. Your health will drop, the enemy health will drop. You'll get an effect that kind of brings a little bit more tension when you're getting low on player health. And we're always giving them information. When they get something wrong, we want to tell them what the right answer was. So that way they have an idea of how to adjust what they're doing, so that way they can be successful the next time they do that practice quiz. We have the ability to equip all of their items. We can mix and match between armor sets. And those sets actually have a real demonstrable impact. In a second, when it catches up to me talking. So we're able to go through and purchase items in the store, and we're all validating everything through PlayFab, so that it's pretty impossible to cheat and just give yourself a bunch of items by hacking the application. And then here you actually see it only counts as 2 wrong answers, despite the fact they got 6 wrong. Because the armors that they're getting actually have a demonstrable impact. We don't want them to just be something pretty. We want them to feel like they have some meaning. Let's skip forward ahead. Oh, a little too far. Drop it from 2 times speed. And we also want to, I'm just not doing myself a lot of favors here. We also want to make sure that they're constantly having displays of the progress they're making, from achievements to the progress bar at the bottom of the screen that tells them how close they are to getting everything they need done for the year. We want them to have a constant feedback, because we never want them to feel like they did something and it really didn't matter. And finally, we're also building something that you don't just use in 3rd grade or 4th grade. You use it from kindergarten until you go to high school. You're going to have quests that get greater in complexity as you go year to year. You're going to have your item sets that you take with you and discard and upgrade, and be able to mix and match and earn new gameplay elements like pets, customizations for your home, different things like that that travel with you year to year, so that we don't at the end of the year say, oh, all that progress you made, it doesn't really matter. We want them to keep that investment the entire time they're using Calculord. So our plan for this semester is we want to focus on getting a prototype version of the teacher console. So that's going to require us being able to assign students to a particular teacher, letting the teacher see what they're working on, as well as tracking their progress and assigning different work. We also want to add more functionality that allows students within a limited range that we can kind of protect and prevent any sort of abuse there, interact with one another through the application, through an avatar chat where they'll be able to send pre-generated messages that tie into emotes that the avatars are using. Something so that way they can kind of show off peer-to-peer everything they're earning. We also want to increase the avatar customization we have, so we're both reworking our bases to be more friendly to a close-up camera, as well as adding female bases, more customization such as body types, hair, and skin color, as well as creating just more content. We want a lot of content for when we're putting this in front of large groups of students, so that there's a lot for them to do. We're also working on a lot of new 2D art. A lot of what you do in Calculord is look at our UI, and so we want to make sure that's as beautiful as possible. So we're creating more splash screens, matte paintings, and the actual buttons and things that you interact with, and trying to just improve that entire aesthetic and the functionality of it. So we're going to need character artists, texture artists, and animators, primarily focusing on generating the new content, the animations for the characters, and the armor sets. We're going to need designers to work on systems. We have both the large system of how our armor sets interact with our practice quizzes, as well as gameplay mini games that we're going to need designed, as well as just continuing to iterate on our GUI. For programmers, anyone familiar with network programming is very useful to us. We're currently using PlayFab as our back end, as well as just having general production programmers to create the scripts for our mini games and to overall increase the stability, because that's going to be very important for us going forward. The benefits of joining Calculord is you're going to be working on an experienced team led by alumni from UAT. All of the leads have gone through the program at one point or another, some further back in the past than others. And we are familiar with what you're learning here in this class, and we know what we can do to help support you as you're going through the class. This is also a long-term project. Every time we talk about how much time we're going to be spending developing on Calculord, we're extending the duration we expect for the project as we go from just having math into English, and we're getting a lot of supportive feedback from our client and the investors we're talking to that are going to make that a reality. You're also going to have experience working on a client project. You're going to be working on something not just for yourself, but for somebody else, and feeling the pressure to meet their goals and what they want. And it's a bit of a different way of motivating yourself, because you're not just building what you want to. You're having to work with the team and build what needs to be made. We're also offering internships, and in the near future, we should be offering paid internships. And while I don't think anybody's used Calculor for their SIP yet, we do have a high viability, as we've all gone through SIP. We believe that you could use Calculor for your SIP and it would be very successful in the class. You can visit us at calculor.com. That will direct you to our crowdfunding, so you can see what looks like we're getting for funds, as well as how you might get involved in the project, either through the class or elsewhere. And I hope to see you all again next semester so that we can continue to help kids battle monsters to master math. Thank you.
Red Rhino.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Alex Watson, and I am the project lead for the team behind Operation Red Rhino. I'm just going to give you guys a little insight of what we've been working on the last couple weeks and what we hope to accomplish next semester. So, Operation Red Rhino is a multiplayer competitive first-person shooter that aims to put locale progression in the hands of the players. So I'll get into how we're doing that a little bit later, but that is the overall pitch for the game. So we're going to focus on fun realism. We're not going to sacrifice gameplay just for the sake of being realistic. We've already talked with the esports club here at UAT, and they're on board with kind of giving us talking out some mechanics and testing that stuff to make sure everything that we're getting in the game is fun and not boring. We're going to be we're working out a reload system, stamina system, and a way to do health regeneration that's pretty unique, but we need to hash that out with the esports guys a little bit more. Player choice and the map progression, we're focused on team play. It's a 5v5 game right now. Round-based game modes, so each node on the map, you're only going to play one round on it, and then it's going to progress from there. Objective and locale progression, and then maps are built with the node system in mind. I'll talk about that right now. So what we got on the side here is kind of how we're laying out all of our maps. Teams will start in that center node. The winning team will then pick which direction on the map they'd like to go. Each node has its own individual objective and individual buff for the team that controls that node. So you might attack that root node right there, and that'll open up a secondary or tertiary route into the team's final base, which is your ultimate goal, take that enemy base from them. And then again, the winning team for each round determines the progression as they move forward. So here we have a paper map for the map that we're going to be looking at in a little bit when I show the video off. We're just going to insert that right into the starting node. It's going to act as our starting node. This one node actually has 3 unique objectives built into it. It has its initial objective, and then depending on which team is assaulting through it, it'll have a unique objective and buff depending on that. And then we got 2 more maps that are a little bit further, or I mean a little bit less far along than our initial one, but we could just slot those in, and that's how we're building out these. So think of each node as a small, scaled down, contained map with its own unique objectives. So as far as competition, the FPS genre, it looks kind of saturated. We got our big guys right here, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Counter-Strike. None of them are doing they're not really taking any chances. They're not really taking any risks, because these guys are pumping millions and millions and millions of dollars into their projects that come out every year. And they really don't have the wiggle room to kind of fail and just bite the bullet on that. And then we got our indie guys. These 2 games specifically, Project Argo is from the guys that make Arma. So both of these are really, really hyper-focused on being very realistic, and that really doesn't lend itself to competitive or esports play very well. So we're trying to stay away from competing with those two. As far as feasibility, we're going to be using Unreal Engine 4. It already has the built-in multiplayer suite. We can do blueprint coding just to prototype stuff out, so game modes, weapon classes, things like that. Our designers can get in there and prototype that stuff in blueprints before they pass it off into our programmers. We're using a C++ groundwork, so you'll see later on, we're not starting from scratch. We already have a guy that's running around, already shooting, multiplayer is already working. It'll open up the door further on down the road for user-created content to come in. That platform is already widely used for level designers, so it's not outrageous to think that we could bring on some talent from the community. And then it's SIP applicable. We've already been approved. Both of us on the team so far have been approved for SIP. So anybody joining the team that does not have a SIP could also apply that. And then I will bring up our video. So our video is just going to run through 3 rounds of what we got so far. It'll switch between 2 different nodes, and in between those nodes, it'll show what we're hoping to get for our team voting system. So all of our maps, you'll see that it's a little bit more condensed than our standard Battlefield or Call of Duty map. We want to focus on very detailed, very contained routes that emphasize a lot of teamwork, a lot of flanking, and a lot of straight up owning gun battles. So at the end of that round, it would kick back into our vote screen. Here, it'll display intel on the side if we hover over one of the maps, and then the buffs for both teams will be displayed right there. So we'll hover over. There's the intel pane. It'll tell you exactly what your team stands to gain from this, and it'll tell you exactly what the objective is. So as a team, you'll be able to balance out those risk versus rewards for each node and kind of plan on what your overall goal of achieving that final base is going to be. So we'll pick that node. We'll come in here. You can see it has a different objective. This one, we have to control the village. So we're going to try and get in there. The other team, they just have to defend the village. So it's a little bit different from the last node that we were in. So you can see he is in the area. I can't capture it yet. And then he's gonna swim. So now he has the ability to pick the next node that we're going to be fighting on. Right now we only have the one node, so he's just going to choose that same node that we started on. However, this time, instead of just being a straight up last man standing, since he is on the offense, he has the momentum in his control. I'm actually going to be playing a more defensive role on my team, and I'm going to be holding down an area closer to my spawn point, and he's going to have to assault across that whole point. So we'll go in here, we'll see when I come in, I'm now in the node, and I'm just waiting for him to show up and do his thing. So he's actually on the other team, he's using the medic class. I'm using the assault class right here, so I'm using a G3. He's got a submachine gun. He can drop a little bit more health for himself to heal up, which I think is what he's trying to do. I come around and get him. So from there, our plan is to have 9 nodes like that. Those are our first 2. That's kind of what we're aiming for stylistically. We're breaking up our team into 3 sub-teams. Our game mode and map progression, which Dom is going to be the lead for. They're going to be working on this semester getting unique objectives for each node, working on that team vote system screen, and getting some sort of round transition between the rounds. So working on choosing classes and picking which nodes. Our level construction team, I'm going to be leading that one. We want to get 9 nodes past just the standard whiteout phase, so we're going to be getting not final art, but at least some terrain and models dropped in there. Story and balance for the full map, so in that intel pane, we need write-ups for all 9 nodes and what the buffs are going to be for those. And then working on level streaming and loading so that we can get those 9 nodes in, but have them so they're not slamming every player in the server when we're not playing on them. And then there's the player and equipment team. That's going to be led by Isaac Morales. He's not with us today. He is out of his internship, but he's going to be leading that one. They're going to be working on getting 5 classes defined and 5 weapon models for their primary weapons. We need to define and implement the health, reload, stamina, and encumbrance system that we plan, and then 1 character model that we can then texture swaps for the 2 teams. That is our pie in the sky, what we hope to get for this semester. What we absolutely need, we need a UI artist, we need a programmer that can work on getting the map voting system implemented. We need a system designer that can go in and tweak the recoil curves for all of our weapons. And we need a 3D artist that can cover down on some of the environment props and working on those weapon models. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Call Center Simulator.
Yes. Hi, good morning, guys. I've been working for the last semester on a game called Call Center Simulator 2018, based on my experiences working for GoDaddy.com. So I'm going to start with a video. I'm going to show you what this prototype was, and then I'll explain what the game's going to be and what we need. Oops.
Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line for the next available representative.
Alright, so Call Center Simulator 2018 is deceptively titled. This is actually a multiplayer shooter, team deathmatch. It's going to be Nerf guns. It's something that we did at my call center, was to pass the time we would shoot each other with Nerf darts all day while we were on our calls. So far for this prototype, we have built our basic gameplay mechanics. We've got gunplay. We created a target range just to demonstrate that we had scoring mechanics and to give us something to do to gamify it a little bit to make sure that our mechanics were really sound, and we feel like they are. We have environmental interactivity, including working drawers, picking up objects as you saw, 3D sound, some stuff like that. We are very proud of this. We did this with 2 people, both designers, no programmers, no artists. So most of these assets are purchased or downloaded off the asset store. The ones that aren't, like our gun and our darts, were a valiant attempt to get art in by a couple guys that aren't artists. So you kind of get the idea. Let me move on, if I can. There we go. Okay, so again, our features is a virtual reality game made on Unity for the HTC Vive. This is something that I don't think we've done at UAT before, not run through Studio, so I think this is a great opportunity for us to kind of get onto VR within the class. Again, it is multiplayer team deathmatch. We're looking at 2-on-2 or 4-on-4. We're still gonna have to game that out. In terms of our goals for the project, we want to release on major VR consoles by the beginning of 2018. We're shooting for January. We think it'll take 2 semesters to get the requisite art assets and multiplayer in. We also need to work on a movement system, which we've got some great ideas about we're going to do that this semester. I will be using this as my SIP. The movement system that we're using is a grid-based timed movement system, basically using spaces on the map. So it's something that we haven't seen before. We've done our research, and we think it's going to work. This is a big problem in virtual reality right now, getting movement to feel really natural, and I think this may be the solution. So currently we have our prototype. We have all of our basic gameplay in other than movement. It feels really great. So over the next 2 semesters, we really want to nail down our multiplayer functionality, make sure we have a matchmaking system that works well. We want to get our movement in, and then it's all about asset creation and interactivity within the environment. In a VR game like this, you want to have stuff for people to do. You want to have funny things. Obviously, the stance of this game is kind of comedy-oriented. So we just want to have a lot of fun stuff in the environments that people can do during the course of a match. Looking forward, before release, we're looking at a tutorial level. We want to get some kind of gun upgrade system, more interactive assets. For now, we need people. Any team size will do. We need artists to work on some of our assets. We need programmers to help us get multiplayer and movement working. Whether you want to do it in the in the class, whether you want to do it outside of the class, we need help. We'd love anyone on the team. So that's what we've got right now. We're really looking forward to working on this. We're going to get it released in spring. And thank you so much for watching our presentation.
World of Mertz.
Okay, hi everybody, my name is Matthew Dubois and I am the art lead for World of Marts, or commonly known as WOM, as some of you may know it. And let's get started. World of Marts is first and foremost a fighting game. It's cross-genre, taking from games such as Devil May Cry, God of War, and switching it with games such as you see on the screen here, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, or even Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. Games like that. The whole thing... Looks like some stuff got cut off there, but anyway. The whole point of our game is to pit deception and cunning versus strategy and power. How you use those things and how you choose to implement them is really how you're going to win these matches. And our goals for this game is essentially to be the next best friendship killer game. Think of games such as Mario Party, Super Smash Bros. These games are intense, they're fun. They have constant combat. We plan on having local playing and local multiplayer as well as online. Art style. We're looking at an art style closely or similar to Mortal Kombat type style, with realistic models, proportions, anything like that. The setting of our environment, or the whole story as it were, is futuristic feudal. So as you can see right there, we have like futuristic buildings along with some feudal elements in there, like you can see the temple and everything like that. But yeah, that's really what we're shooting for with the style and overall feel of the game. We have some wonderful concept art from some of our artists on the team. For Torky Raggett, one of our characters. And then we have an example. Oops. Oh, it's not there. Anyway. Okay, so my presentation got a little fuzzy. But anyway, we have at least 3 characters done right now. Gideon, Rokujo, and Torgy Ragged's on our way. For this upcoming semester, we want more characters completed. We want at least 2 more characters for the next semester, because we want these characters to be very fleshed out, very real, very everything. We want more combat animations. I had a video showing on my presentation, but for some reason it got messed up. And level integration, we have a couple blockouts for our level. For a couple levels, we have the castle level, the city level, and a forest level for different levels you can fight on. So we need some artists for asset development and integration. And then for the future, we're looking at a playable demo. This isn't what we're planning on for next semester, but this is more of an overall goal. And then pitching to a company or using crowdsourced funding to get funding. And as I said, we need animators that know mocap or can keyframe. Animators. We need animators. We need a lot of artists for asset creation. We need programmers, Blueprint, because we are working in Unreal 4. And yeah. If you want to look us up, I'll be out on the tables. I'll have the video for you to look at. And yeah, thank you.
Ooh, all right, another round of applause for everybody that's greenlight pitching. Fantastic. Judges, I don't know how we're going to do it. At 1 o'clock, make sure that all of your team members are here. We're going to start with certificates of award, and we're also going to do the team photos. We also have a couple of other things that we're going to do. It's a long afternoon, so make sure that you get food in you. It is lunchtime. So 1 o'clock, be back in here. Thank you. Judges. Oh. Not yet, but it's looking good. Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's summer semester and it tends to be low. So.